for today is we have the tax collectors, incumbents and candidates, and also the property appraiser. Thomas Den is running against David Nolte, but he was unable to make it. He's got some other form, so David's just going to be here by himself. What we'll do is we'll have a 3-minute opening for each of the individuals running, and then we'll go into Q&A. The board has a couple of questions. Again, we'll start off with that. And Alice has some cards. She'll hand those out, and you can write your questions down, and then we'll ask as many of them as we can with the time permitted. And we'll probably set up about 1.5 to 2 minutes for each answer, and then we'll have a 1-minute wrap up, and that'll be our forum for today. 3 candidates come forward and take their seats.
The meeting was appointed for me.
Deb, we're going to do 3 minutes to start with an intro. So Deb Seeley's going to be our timekeeper. Deb Seeley's going to be our timekeeper. And so a 3-minute intro. Yes, thank you, Deb. A round of applause. And then we'll do some questions, and we'll see how time goes, but I'm thinking about 2 minutes, preferably 1.5 minutes, but 2 minutes to answer each question. And when I ask a question, sometimes the questions are going to be for one candidate, but if somebody wants to respond to that question or add to it, please feel free. So you can each have a chance at answering the same question, even if it is for one person. And if you don't want to, that's fine. I mean, if it's something to Carole, Jean, and David and Tommy don't answer, that's totally fine. All right, well, let's get started. We'll start with the intros, and Tommy, you'll be up first.
Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate you all having us here today. It gives me the opportunity of getting out of the sun, because I've been at the library every day for early voting, and you can kind of look around the room and see the top of Mark Muser's head. You know, he's been there. Jackie's like Superwoman. She and I have been having a lot of fun every day there, so I guess we'll probably change after this and go back. But those of you that don't know me, I'll give you a little bit of history of myself. I'm a 4th generation Indian River County resident. I know a lot of you have probably heard this speech. I'm getting so tired of saying it myself, but that's the only thing that I'm proud of saying. Being a 4th generation Indian River County resident, I'm a 2nd generation funeral director. My dad actually started back with Ham Floyd. I don't know how many of you all remember Ham Floyd. Chester, I know you do, because you were about his age. But no, my dad actually worked in the funeral business for Ham Floyd back in the late 30s, early 40s. I have had the opportunity, and this is the key to me to this election this year, I've had the opportunity of being elected by you all back in 2002 to serve as county commissioner. So I have had some experience in county government. I've served on some county committees prior to serving on the county commission. I was your chairman of the board back in 2005, and was actually, I'm proud to say I was instrumental, and Brian Hetty was here earlier, was instrumental in doing away with the 3-minute time limit at the county commission. So we allowed it to be open mic as long as they stuck to the issue. But more importantly, I'm running for tax collector this year. I decided is my endeavors of county government, local government, everything I have done has remained local. The position that fits my personality the best, and don't get me wrong, I was probably dubbed the customer service commissioner when I was on the county commission, was the tax collector's office. I truly believe that this is an office of nothing but customer service. I had a comment made the other day that the tax collector's office is getting so stressful because people are coming in having to sell their boats, having to change titles, having to move out of it. And I said, you know what stress is? Stress is sitting at a table with a family that's lost a 2-year-old son. I think I can handle the issue of the title, not a problem. But more importantly, I'm humbled to ask for your support on August 14th. Would love to have you get out and vote early. The lines are short, the lines are quick. Remember Tom Lowther, for Indian River County Tax Collector. Thank you.
Carole, Jean, why don't we have you come first?
Thank you, and thank you to the Taxpayers Association for putting on these you do need to invest in a new little podium. But for putting on these events, because it's great that not only the press shows up and informs people other than the ones that come to these events, but as a longtime member of the Taxpayers Association, I do appreciate what you all do, and I especially appreciate what you've done with the school bond investigation. They actually came into our office and we were able to provide a long, lengthy years of information for them so they could do their homework on that. And that's what we do. I would just like to say what I said to the county commission the other day when, we got that letter in the mail or through the interoffice mail, and they said you have to cut your budget by 3%. Well, we've done that. And 2012-13 budget is reduced by 3%, and that comes up to a total of 18.9%. We'll be coming in under budget this year. I think this will be interesting to the taxpayers and to the Taxpayers Association. We've done that every year I've been in office, coming in under budget, and we'll be returning $3+ million back to the taxpayers of Indian River County, as we've done in the years I've been in office, for a total of $12.5 million. And I have to address the comments that my opponent makes about well, everybody does that. Certainly, we took on driver's license, a $500,000 operation that the state of Florida pays, would have paid every year. And we didn't increase the budget, and we did continue to give back a total of $12.5 million. That took a lot of interesting looks at budgets and numbers and staff and making things happen. Driver's license has increased since we took over full operation by 52% in a year. We do about 156 driver's licenses per day. Sebastian and the interesting thing, and I mentioned it at one other event, is Sebastian does a lot of Brevard County work. Last week it was 127 transactions from Brevard County. They like us. They've also done 35 from Broward County, which is interesting, but I think we do some towing work for other counties. We've increased our internet transactions by 55%, and I think that's by honing our skills in our tax software systems and how we handle things. As you know, maybe I'll be able to tell you what else we've done, but I just am here to ask for your vote and for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Carole Jean, and David Nolte, if you would finish on our intros.
Thank you, Clint. How many people have already voted like I have?
I didn't vote like you did.
Okay. Charlie, you may be surprised. There's enough people here that wanted us to continue the meeting. I figured if everybody already voted, we all can sit down and go home. This is a postcard I sent out. There's one on each table for everybody. Gives a little bit of my background. And you notice they're addressed to someone. These are the ones that came back. These are Republican households that are now vacant. So if you know the person on there and they're still here, tell them to tell the post office to bring their mail to them, please. I've had the pleasure of serving you as your property appraiser for the past 32 years. Everybody's done well on their budget. The property appraiser's office done just a little better on their budget, as Jason Brown found out when he did the research. You might wonder, hold on a second here. How could we cut our budget so much? How could we cut the budget over 30%? Well, here's a chart. And if you look, in 2006, we had 3,716 new single-family residents put on the tax roll. 3,716. That dropped down to 1,644 in 2007, 826 in 2008, and 293 in 2011. I can tell you it takes fewer people to put 300 homes on than it does to put 3716. It takes fewer people to process deeds. It takes fewer people to process exemptions. And that's how we were able to cut. We simply didn't have the volume of work, and we couldn't afford to keep the people on not doing anything. If you look on the back of the card, it tells you some of my background in community service. I've been happy to serve on the board of the Humane Society. Been on the board of the Salvation Army since 1985. I was the member of the year for the International Association of Assessing Officers in 1989. That's an 8,500 member organization, international in scope, one member of the year each year, and I believe I'm the only one in Florida who has ever achieved that honor. I thank you for allowing me to serve you for the past 32 years, and I hope to represent you again for the next 4 years. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you, David. Okay, for the next part, we'll ask some questions, and for this part, you can just stand where you are, and stand up if you want, or sit, whatever your pleasure is. So the first question, and this will be something that probably more driven to Carole Jean and David, but I'd like you, and Tommy, you can certainly answer this from the perspective of what you would do. So the first question is, just tell me about your day. What's your typical day, and what do you do from morning to evening? We'll start.
1.5 or 2 minutes?
2 minutes on this one, if you can.
Interesting. I'm kind of a, as everybody knows, a Blackberry person, so my day can start pretty early. I get up at 5:30, and my chief of staff gets up earlier than I do, so I often have a text message from her. That's how the day begins. We take care of business electronically, not just in the office, but when I come into the office, again, get on the computer, check and see what's going on, check in with all the staff, go up front. We get our attendance, we get everything electronically, both from the main office and the branches, so you don't have to be up front. But I'll tell you what I do some days. When we get busy, whomever's working, our staff multitask. They can do everything up front, our clerks do. So I'll take somebody off the phones and ask them to go out and wait on customers, and I'll answer the phones, because I can do that where I can't really issue a driver's license. I've had the training, but I think it's important that you stay current on those rules, so I don't do that. I'll go out and wait on customers. I'll help clear the lines. Just anything that any of my staff does, I try to do as well to keep the office running as smoothly as it can be. We have lines occasionally, and we certainly don't like to do that. So those of you that have been there will see us out. All the backroom staff that handle so many other things will run up front and help us clear our lines so we can get you in and out of there in a timely manner. That's just a part of the days. We work on finance, we work on crisis management, which every little business has, and our big business has it.
That's a very interesting question. I get up about 6 o'clock, I daydream in the shower for a half hour. I think when I do get to work, I do read the Wall Street Journal. I check the emails and what's going on. We talk about things that are happening in the housing market. I really don't have a typical day because we don't have a typical customer. We don't have people who come in for a fishing license or a hunting license or a driver's license or something. Everybody comes in with a different question about what affects the value of their home and their property. So it's totally new, totally different every day talking to people. A guy will go out and spend $1 million on a house and then come in and tell you he overpaid. And you say, well, why did you do that? And he says, well, my wife liked the house. So, but it certainly wasn't worth what he paid for it. And these are the, what, if the wife likes it, I'm sure it is worth it. But we hold impromptu meetings during the day when things come up with the staff. We work on, there's always a computer problem somewhere. It's just the nature of the beast. And generally fill our day with talking to the customer and answering customers' concerns. That's the typical day, but once again, there is no really typical day. Every day is different. Tom?
Tommy, maybe you can answer, what would you do?
Honestly, I'd be glad to talk about the funeral business, you know, getting up at 2 in the morning and having to go to someone's house and deal with that. No, and it's hard to say what I would do. I know I can tell you what I did as a county commissioner. Well, no, let me rephrase that. I can tell you this. If elected as tax collector, I would have weekly management meetings with my management staff. You know, my opponent over the year of us debating and having these forums has stated she's kept the same number of 44 employees as she started with, but ladies and gentlemen, she's lost half her staff. She's either terminated half of them, they've quit, they've gone elsewhere, so there must be a little bit of some issues over there for that many people to be leaving. I would definitely have an open door policy as I do in my own business. I realize I'm only as good as my staff. I don't know if I would get as big into micromanaging. I believe if you have a staff that you can trust, a staff that does their job, let them do their job. At the end of the day, you look at the numbers, make sure things are going right. I can tell you I will do this because I had the opportunity of serving as a vice president of funeral home operations over in Orlando for Stewart Enterprises. We had 7 funeral homes and 5 cemeteries. I made it a point every day to go to each one of those chapels to make sure the staff was doing what they needed to be done, from the manager kind of stay out of their way to make sure the functions were happening. And I think that's the name of the game. You have to get down to the level of the employees, make sure they're comfortable in doing what they're doing, and make sure the day gets through as simple and easy as possible. Yeah, thank you.
Can I just say something? I too have, as Mark Mucher, who worked for me for a few years, can tell you, I have an open door policy, and I tell my staff that my door is always open, so please don't make a mistake and wander in here.
I'm glad I triggered some, wish I could have done that.
30 more seconds. Go ahead, Carole.
Just would like to say, there's a little sign beside my door that says, if the door is closed, it's because I don't want to make noise and create any havoc in the corridors. They know they can walk right in, and I have not terminated anybody in my office. We have had people leave for various and sundry reasons, as most businesses do. That's called attrition.
You haven't had one?
Tommy, you can wrap that up.
Can I? Carol Jean, you have not had one termination?
No.
In your 3.5 years being in the office?
I have not fired anybody, no,
Amazing.
sir.
Okay, your staff did.
Okay,
You better
good
know.
question. The next question is, and this will be probably for Carole Jean and for David, and this will be a short answer, so I don't think I'll need to keep time on this. How many hours do you work a week at the office? In your capacity, not necessarily the office, but in your capacity as an elected official. How many hours do you work a week?
I think it's 35, not counting lunch hours.
As an elected official, I probably say at least 50 hours a week, both in the office, out of the office, maybe even more. I really don't keep track of it. It's a full-time job. You know, I may run into somebody in the grocery store, just like I gave these ladies Gather Go Get. Everybody knows I have the little blue cards in my purse, and I'll tell you about driver's license even if you don't want to know about it, because it's important people know what they have to bring to the office. So I'm always on the job.
And the next question is related. How much do you get paid in your elected position? What's your salary?
I can go sit down.
It's a couple of dollars under 119,000.
And mine is 5,000 under that, because last year I took the 5%, the $5,000 pay cut, and I have done the same thing this year. Unfortunately, it didn't help with the budget this year because it was already kind of there, so it doesn't come into budget play. But
Can I comment on that, Glenn?
How much do you pay your job?
Well, it doesn't have to do with my salary because I'm not elected, but more importantly, back in 2010, and y'all will remember this hopefully, when I was running as a county commissioner, I was stating I was going to take a 10% cut in pay. Realized that elected officials couldn't do that. They automatically get a pay raise from the state, but they couldn't take a decrease in pay. As soon as I found that out, I went to Representative Mayfield. She did institute and pass House Bill 19 that stipulated that these elected officials, hopefully I will be one of those, can take a cut in pay. So I feel excited I was a big part of that. Thank you.
Well, let's go ahead and follow up on that question. I think you said 119, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you feel that that is a adequate or appropriate amount for your position? And Tommy, we'll start with you.
I would love to make 119,000. But no, I truly believe that the job, and David, I can't speak for your job, but I truly believe that the pay does cover the job, because it is a serious job. It is an important job. And as Carole Jean said, bringing over and taking over the Driver's License Bureau is a whole new department that she has control. So I have no issue whatsoever with the salary of the position.
Carole, go ahead.
It's a fabulous salary, and I certainly appreciate it from the taxpayers of Indian River County. It is a difficult job. There's not a day that we don't have, things to take care of that affects your tax dollars. And that's the most important responsibility we have, second to driver's license, which of course is authorizing people to drive on our streets. And even more important, making sure that there aren't any fraudulent documents that are coming across our counters, allowing people that are not U.S. citizens in the proper manner to be licensed, because they can do an awful lot with a fraudulent driver's license in this state. So we do have a lot of responsibility. It is a well-paid job, and I do appreciate it. And Mr. Lowther, some of the other county commissioners gave their parts of their salary back to charity, so you chose not to do that for whatever reason.
Can I comment on that? Really, just 30 seconds? No, we'll come back to it. Let's David finish. Okay.
As you know, the elected official salaries are set by Tallahassee, by the legislature and the powers that be up there. But we set our salaries locally for the people who work for us. And how do we do that? Well, anybody heard of Cody and Associates? They do salary studies. This is a salary study that was done by Cody and Associates in 2007, authorized for and paid for by the county commission. They did our office, and the chief deputies, they compared their workload and their responsibilities with the private sector in Indian River County and surrounding counties, and with other property appraisers' offices and government offices throughout the state. The range for chief deputy was $70,000 to $111,000. Now, if a chief deputy is worth $111,000, certainly the position above them is worth a few dollars more. So I don't think there's a problem with the salary level. The responsibility of the property appraiser is a huge one. We fund local government. We make sure that the police and fire get paid. We make sure that the money's there for the roads and the schools. And if the job isn't done right, we're the only office where the governor, if we miss a deadline, can come in and remove us, because it's that important. So I don't think there's a problem with the salary level. The benefits are generous, yes. But once again, you're serving 4 years. If you get voted out at age 50, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? It's a full-time job. It's not a part-time job. You can't keep your other business on the side. So I think it's fair for what it does, and I hope you agree with me.
Tommy, go ahead. 1 minute.
I just want to reiterate it. I know Mrs. Jordan made a comment that some commissioners had given a cut, but not a cut in pay, but money towards charity. I know we have some CPAs in the office. I believe a cut in pay with your salary and a donation to charity is a little bit different, is it not, CPAs? A donation out of your pay to an organization is a little bit different than a cut in your salary for tax purposes?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Carole Jean, did you want to take 30 seconds? Okay. Next question, this one is for David. Regarding the DROP program, David, I believe you participate in the DROP program. Are you required to resign in the next term, this coming term, as part of that program? And secondly, could you explain a little bit about it and why you entered it?
Well, yes. The DROP program. Coming out of World War II, the defined benefit pension plan came into widespread use. And the actuaries would set it up so that the funding would take care of, each year they put money into a fund that would pay the pensions for the people. In the early 80s, they made a startling discovery. They discovered that they could allow people to retire and stay on the job, and that would actually save the pension plans money, would make them sounder. What I have in my hand here is the Public Pension Professionals, Inc., State Association of County Retirement Systems study that was done in California. And I know you're going to find this hard to believe, but in California, the voters actually approved the drop program because it saves the taxpayers money. While someone is in the drop program, they're getting their salary, they're getting their pension, but the pension is not increasing and no new pension is accruing for that position while payments are being made into the pension fund in addition. So it saves taxpayers money. It's all outlined here. There's several ways you can draw it up, but the people in California approved it, and it was adopted by several other states. Now, what happened here was in 2005, I had an option of going into the drop program or not. My wife had been a 4-year survivor of breast cancer. There were people in the Republican Party that were thinking about running for property appraiser. You know you're not secure every 4 years. So in 2005, I said, okay, I will take this one-time opportunity to get into the drop program, and I did. And as it progressed, the different options opened to me, and I had the option of retiring for a month and staying in coming back and serving. Now, that had to be approved by somebody. When Ed Massey retired down at the community college, his 1 month had to be approved by the board of directors of the community college, and it was. Who approved my drop program and all other elected officials? The governor. The governor has to approve it. If it was wrong, if he didn't like it, didn't want it, if it didn't save you, the taxpayers' money, it wouldn't have happened.
Would you guys care to add to that, or?
With my age, I'm a long way away from the drop.
Carole Jean, did you want to make any comments about the drop program? Thank you, David. Oh, David, you didn't ask one question. Are you required to resign in the next term?
No.
The answer is no. So you intend to
I've already
fulfill your term? You've already done that, okay, thank you. All right, well, this is, I've got a couple more questions here, but I wanted to make one commentary. I actually looked at the CAFRs for 2009, 2010, 2011. Surprise, surprise that I would do something like that. Tax collectors. The tax collectors, and this is a question for you, Carole Jean, more educational, I think. You are correct. From 2010 to 2011, you did drop the cost to serve by 9%. The previous year, you dropped it by 1.5%, and I believe you are dropping it by 3% in the coming year. But these are the final numbers as of 2011. David, you also managed to cut the cost to serve by 9% in 2011 from 2010, and about 0.5% from the previous year. Are those correct? Do you agree with those figures? Is that about right?
Every budget is different. The county only accounts for 85% of my budget. That's why the numbers in that book and the numbers in my books are not exactly the same. So yes, I think I have no reason to question.
About $3 million it costs you to run your department, is that about right? About $3 million?
Yeah, a little under 3 million, yes. But once again, when Jason comes out with numbers, they don't match our numbers because we're funded by various other sources. And Carole Jean, of course, has the same. She has even a bigger problem because hers is funded by fees and we're a budget office. So.
Carole Jean, that brings me to you, and maybe you could explain that. Again, you're both very similar. It only costs you about $2.8 million to run your department, but you brought in $5.8 million in revenue. Can you explain where the rest of the money, the extra $3 million, comes from?
Certainly, we're a fee-driven office, so we get fees and commissions for everything that we do, almost every transaction that we do. And again, if not so much what you see out front, which also has fees tied to it, but everything in the back. For instance, your tax distribution to your taxing districts. We handle the money for Indian River County. So David assesses it, sends the rollover to us. We send the tax bills out to the taxpayers. They send the checks back into us. We track that over a year, which really sounds kind of easy, except it isn't, because there's so many variables thanks to the good work of the legislature. They decide to have installments, which is a wonderful program. There's all kinds of situations. If you're late on your tax bill, we have the tax certificate sale, so on and so forth. All that goes into our tax distribution. We receive different fees for all that, if that helps clarify. For driver's license, unfortunately, right now, there is no fair share to the tax collectors since the Department of Highway Safety chose to give the driver's license operation over to the tax collectors. They have refused to share in the enormous fee that they get. However, you're given the privilege of paying $6.25 for the privilege of coming into our office. That's the only thing we get. They say they will change that once all tax collectors are doing driver's license. We'll see. But that's just part of what we receive money for. And again, those funds are distributed to the taxing districts. We get a commission for that. We get a fee for that. So it's a fee-driven office, if that helps.
Right.
It's very, very complicated depending on whether it's hunting and fishing, motorist services, real estate taxes. Everything's different. Everything's got different percentages. That's why we have a finance director and 2 people working with her, thank goodness.
Thank you, Carol Jean. Next, that does it for the board questions. We've got a question from the floor, and this one is for Tom. Having looked at the budget of the tax collector's office, what exactly would you do to reduce it, and what would the total projected savings be?
I would start right out from the standpoint of being elected is removing the person's name that was previously on all that information off all printed material in the tax collector's office, reverting it back to Indian River County tax collector. That's going to be a savings in itself from printed material, cardstock that's been saved, all that information going out there. You hear time and time again that everyone does it. Doesn't mean that I have to do it. I truly believe this is your money, checks made out to Indian River tax collector. And it's as simple and as easy as that sounds. That's my doings. I would also begin to streamline the upper management of the tax collector's office. I truly believe, in being a small business owner myself, that there's a little heavy at the top. Streamline, change some scenarios there. That's going to be a difference in some salaries, some positions, and kind of move the office a little bit more forward in the electronic age and move in that direction.
I'll just go ahead and follow up for David and for Carol Jean. Are there any other areas you can see cuts where you can save the taxpayers money in the coming fiscal year?
Glenn, we've actually done that again by cutting 3% in this upcoming budget year. We've completely realigned our leadership, and we'll continue to do that. When we took on driver's license, as we grew into that, because as most of you know, we started just doing renewals in 2009. As we became more sophisticated in handling it, as we went into our new tax software system, we see changes that we need. We need more leadership in one place, less in another. So it is a constant change. There's nothing that really is going to stay the same in our office, and I'm really proud to say that we were able to cut it again this year by 3%.
I've got 3 people in my office who have been there longer than I have. I've been very fortunate in the last few years that several people had their 30, 35 years in and retired, and we were able to take a high-priced person and replace them with younger, lower-priced personnel. And also, as you know, the volume has dropped, and we have a minimum number of people now to do the job. We've cut every place we can. I asked the staff, I said, what are your ideas for cutting it? And so I got about 20 ideas, and we followed each and every one. We don't let people take their cars home at night, we park them. We don't pay for reimbursement for out-of-county travel. We've never had expense accounts. That's the one thing about county government as opposed to municipalities. There's no expense accounts in county government. So we've done everything we can, and unless we have an economic collapse, I think we actually have saved all the money that we can possibly bring out of this particular operation. But of course, if there is an economic collapse, we'll just have to go with the flow and do what needs to be done.
Carol Jean, the next question's for you. What was the budget of the driver's license division before you absorbed it, and did you absorb it without adding to staff?
Yes, Glenn, I think I mentioned that in my opening remarks, but the budget for DHS&V's operation, the office in South County that was it was a less than desirable place that I wanted all of our county residents to have to go to get their new real ID driver's license, which is, takes a little bit of time. Cost about $500,000 a year, and long-term, high-dollar leases, lots of employees, lots of administration, and we did take that on without any increase. And what was the second part of the question? I'm sorry. Our staff?
Did you add staff to do that?
I have not. I still, as I said earlier, I still have, our staff is at 44. It does change through attrition. We have somebody right now, unfortunately, that's leaving us in the next 2 weeks because she's in the throes of a marital problem, and she's going back home to her family. So it's a huge loss to us, but we feel that's her good decision, and that's hers to make. So we do have those changes, but we fill them and we keep it at 44.
Any other questions from the floor? Ms. Sonner?
I don't think I agree with that, but actually, Carole Jean, that just reminded me of something. I did a little bit of research and found out that the constitutional officers are not required to post open positions like the county is, to advertise open positions, that they're filled from somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and but they're still paid with taxpayer dollars. Do you feel that those positions should be advertised like all the county positions?
Lisa, we don't advertise just for one reason. I think we would be bombarded with people, they'd be lined up down the road. We do hire by recommendations, not mine, but we do hire by recommendations, sometimes within staff. We keep and accept employment applications daily. People come in, they're interested in jobs. It's amazing how we're able to fill vacancies. When it comes to a leadership position, I've actually asked Mr. Coakley when he was at Workforce Development about a couple of positions that I needed filled, and he wasn't able to help me at the time, but we reach out in that way. We've worked with a hiring company when we were looking at a finance position, but again, we can't pay a company with taxpayer dollars, which is what we operate with. So it really doesn't, it's just something that we haven't, because we've had a certain amount of attrition, we really haven't put it out to advertise. I don't know, Jeff, if you all did in the past. We've been blessed to have some people, give us applications. We keep them on file for 2 years. We go through them, as we will do with our most recent resignation, and just kind of get the word out among everybody without putting it, say, in the newspaper.
Any other questions from the floor? Charles?
This was for Carole Jean. I have a special interest in the school district, and I understand that you folks collect the taxes for the school district. And when I was privy to information over there a number of years back, it was told to me that the tax collector's office collected the taxes, but they were very hesitant in providing them back to the school district. So my question is, if that's the case, is there any benefit to you by holding those taxes into your office, like maybe the interest you might earn on it or something like
Charlie, and I think I can probably speak for Jeff at the same time, we are required by, everything we do has a regulation and a statute tied to it. We're required by Department of Revenue to issue the tax dollars to the taxing districts in a certain manner. So many a month in the beginning, and then it drops down to lesser degrees as we run out of the taxes. When people pay them early, they go to the school board or to the county. But we do, I think it's two times a month in November, 2 times a month in December. And somebody's not telling you quite the right information. And we do hold, as you might imagine, we have millions and millions of dollars in our accounts at any given time, and would actually sometimes we turn it over to the county in a quicker amount of time because they can earn better interest than we can, because we have to be, of course, collateralized. But more important than that, we can't do long-term investments like, say, the clerk can do. Jeff Smith and Jeff Barton can make much better interest on $1 million because they can hold it over a length of time than the tax collector's office can, again, because of statute. Does that answer that?
Let me follow up on that, Carole Jean. With the advances in electronic banking and so on and so forth, would it make sense, or is anybody in the legislature or the Tax Collectors Association or anybody else looking at making payments more than twice a month? That sounds pretty archaic, especially if you're sitting with millions of dollars in a checking account.
We certainly are constantly looking at ways to bring in more income to our tax collector's office as well as the statewide association. The problem, Mark, and I think Jeff Smith sitting here will back me up, the problem is the time it takes to collect the money. This was, and I'll liken it to the Republican Party of Florida during the heat of a campaign. You have so many envelopes to open that you can only get your money, recorded so quickly. We have a, what we call the iTran machine. We have a high-speed processor that the minute we get the checks and the invoices that go with them, it processes them very quickly. When I came to work there, we then took those checks and those matching documents. Well, we took the checks and put them in a Brinks bag and sent them off to the bank. I felt that was a little bit behind the power curve on electronics, so we now we had to do an RPF, and we chose, we chose to go with SunTrust, and we have what they call ICL files. So we immediately transmit electronically to the bank all the, not only the checks that we have in one file, but the cash that we have in hand. SunTrust allows us to transmit that electronically as well. We get immediate credit for it, same day credit, same hour credit for it. The checks are kept in the office and they're shredded within 60 to 90 days, depending on the legal requirements. So we do everything we can to move the money as fast as we can so that we can earn interest on it and the taxing districts can earn interest on it. But it's the recording and the distribution of it. You still can only do it so quickly and handle all the rest of the business that we have to handle in the office, the driver's license, the motor vehicles. For instance, somebody comes in and motor vehicle transactions, that money has to be held until Tallahassee approves what we have done. They send us back and say, you can send the money up now. I mean, there's just all kinds of really unusual statutes, but we're constantly working to see that it works better. Does that help?
A follow-up then, if it's okay. I was asking more about more frequent distributions than when you get it in and process it and put it in your account. But you also raised so that's still an open question in my mind, but you also raised the question of interest. Do you make much interest on your checking account? I wouldn't think so.
We do, because we put it into a special account that has a higher earning of interest, yes. Frankly, in this day and age, it helps us cover the cost of banking, which is very expensive.
Okay,
Be glad to sit down and show it to you. It's complicated, and I mean, our contract with SunTrust took days to negotiate, months with the RFPs, and then to negotiate to be sure we had everything that we needed. Because the number one thing, Mark, is security, and then we go from that to doing things the fastest way we can.
Okay, then is it the statutes that limit you to only dispersing twice a month?
No, we disperse as quickly as we can.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard you say twice a month.
That's the law.
But you can do it more.
Right, and we
you
do,
it.
and we do. We want to move it as quickly as we can.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have one. On the auto registration, you can file online, but I understand it costs you a few dollars extra.
Yes, sir.
If you file online, does it save any clerical work at the office level?
It does, and that's why we encourage mail-in registration. Anything that can be done through the mail, we certainly encourage. Unfortunately, and a lot of people ask this question, why is there a charge? And the charge is because we have to go through a third party. We have to go through a company that does the credit card billing. We, as all these big companies, like I say Macy's and Gimbels, for you all that remember Gimbels, they have a service fee that they absorb from the credit card companies. We are not allowed to do that with taxpayer dollars. So unfortunately, we have to go to that third party, and it does charge a fee on anything that you're renewing, and the same thing over the counter. There's a fee, much like your ATMs. We wish we could do it, but we can't.
Can I pay by credit card at the office level?
You can. I actually had that in my remarks. Yes, sir. We started that over the past few years as quickly as I could get our new system. Excuse me?
But there's still a fee, you still have to charge.
Absolutely. There is still a fee. It's also done by the third party.
Seems like a good project.
It is. I wish we could do it.
Any others? Joe?
Just a question to everybody, especially for the incumbents. Would all of you find it, with times being what they are right now, and you've had to cut certain positions, that you could really use 2 or 3 more people on your staff? And if you can answer that part first, then I'll ask the second part.
The question is, can we use more people on our staff? Absolutely. Our staff works very, very hard to complete their transactions in the most efficient use of time to get it into the system and make sure everything's correct, because you can imagine it's complicated. And the nice thing is, Glenn, and I'll add this because you all will be happy about this, is we have a lot of people moving into this town. We had a family yesterday, it must have been 4 driver's licenses and 2 or 3 vehicles, which took most of the afternoon to take care of that. But it's exciting because they're saying, you know, we've come here for the winter time all these years and we've just decided to move down. So it seems like every day there's new people coming into the county. So I said that should be good for our local economy. I don't know what it does to the northern cities. So yes, we certainly could use more staff. We do not have a lot of space, though. That's the problem. We have maybe 1 cubby in our branches that are empty and nothing here in the main office.
David, how do you feel?
Joe, we are at our slow period right now, and we are using this time to cross-train everyone who's not been cross-trained. And to be honest with you, no, sir, we could not use anybody else at this time. It'll depend on the pickup in the housing market. If the housing market firms up and we get more building and more sales, at that point we will need more people, but right now, no, sir.
I could use all the employees I can get, Joe, at the funeral home, definitely. No, actually, I'm taken care of there too. I enjoy this debate.
So the second part of my question would be, has anybody,
Do you think you need more staff?
Me?
Yeah.
For the funeral home?
Not the funeral home, for the tax light.
No. Well, and I truly can't speak on, I don't want to sit here and tell you I know how that office runs by not having been in there. So I cannot answer that one for you.
second part of my question would be, okay, are any of you aware of the fact that we have probably one of the greatest institutions in Indian River County and in the local communities called Indian River State College? Okay. Have any of you ever gone to the college and asked to use interns for additional help at no cost?
We have used interns. I don't know if they came from the college or not. We've also used the college teaching service. I think it was Dr. Sullivan had the computer van, and we've used that on a couple of different occasions. But no, we haven't gone to the college to ask for interns that I know of.
Yes, on both. The same thing David was talking about. We actually brought a gentleman probably known to most of you all that's an HR person that helped our staff in dealing with angry customers and angry management, if you will. Training that went on for several hours each day for a week, and it was very, very beneficial. Mrs. Schlitt actually recommended, she knew about the course and recommended it. And we do as well ask for interns from several different groups, the State College and others. Our problem is, again, is the security in the office, the amount of money that's in the office, all those sort of things. There's limits to what an intern can do in the office, and we don't want to just get somebody in to do filing. We'd like to have them do more things than that. But we're working on a program where we can do it on a year-round basis, and I think it would be an excellent opportunity. Brenda and I have talked about it. An excellent opportunity for growth for people that are interested in either government service or just the kind of things that we do. But it has to be a program set up in a specific way. Other than that, it would just be, they'd be doing menial things.
Just one thing, we don't have any money in the office, and this year we've had a mapping intern and a data processing intern with us.
Yeah, here we go. Well, all good.
Okay, it's a little after 1, and with that in mind, are there any other questions? Seeing none, before we go to the 1-minute wrap-up, I just wanted to say thank you for the three of you to come here and take your time and to stand before the public and to put your names out there. So thank you very much, and a round of applause. I think we started with Tommy. Did you start first?
I did. I'm used to going last.
Carole Jane, we'll start with the 1-minute wrap.
Certainly. I think we've covered a lot of things today. If you don't know about driver's license, please ask me. I want you to know before you come in the office, because it can be very frustrating, especially for women that have been married. They have to track their name from birth. We've talked about just about everything we do. Again, it's an interesting office. Please come visit us. You will not believe all the things that go on in the back room with a small amount of people handling a large, tremendous amount of money and documents and details. And I just, again, I ask for your support and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
You know, Carole Jean just said that you have to track your name from birth. I wonder if President Obama could get a Florida driver's license.
I'm going to add that.
Our fraudulent document trainer, this is a man that's been with the DHSMB retired from them. He's been with them that many years. He travels this country doing fraudulent documents, says Obama could not get a Florida driver's license.
I'd just like to say thank you. I really have been blessed to be your property appraiser for the past 32 years. I've gone through many campaigns. I've also escaped many campaigns. I've been honored by the fact that every time a group got together and interviewed the candidates, went through our backgrounds and checked our work records and stuff, that every single time they've selected me as the better candidate. I've been quite humbled by that. And the Press Journal is the latest one on 7/31. The editors of the local paper endorsed my candidacy. I just wish to thank you for your support in the past, and I promise to continue doing a good job for you, work hard, and thank you again for your support.
I too just want to say thanks for listening to us, letting us tell you about our lives, and I again appreciate the fact of having an opportunity of serving for you all as a county commissioner. I appreciate my opponent. I guess you and I have probably had the only campaign out there that's been midstream, right down the middle, and didn't sling any mud, and the 14th is here. So I feel real good that we have run a great campaign. I've enjoyed campaigning with you, Carole Jean, and I just appreciate y'all getting out and voting on the 14th. Love to have you vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that adjourns our forum, and our next forum is going to be the mosquito control.